On behalf of single people everywhere, please stop setting us up unless your single friend comes to you and says, hey, do you know of anybody that you could maybe set me up on a date with? Just stop. We're so tired of you guys pimping us out to each other, and the people you set us up with are crazy. One time, I got set up on a date with a guy who didn't even like music. We were just driving and listening to AM radio, and I said, would you maybe like to listen to some music? And he said, no, thank you. I don't like music. And I thought he was joking. So I left. And then he said, no, really, I don't like music. I don't get what the hype is. Everyone's so obsessed with music. But when you think about it, it's really just different noise than what we're listening to right now. And I was like, sir, are you a serial killer? Because that sounds like something a serial killer would say. And if you are, could you please just calmly pull the car off to the side of the road, let me get out, and kill me there, instead of making me listen to AM radio for the rest of our date? And another time, somebody set me up with a guy. She didn't even know. She met him one time, and he had a dog. And she was like, my friend Kate also has a dog. You guys should go on a date. And then she said, but Kate... She was trying to talk me into it later, and she was like, wouldn't it be so cute, though, if you guys fell in love and then your dogs fell in love? And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a solid basis for a relationship. And so I went on a date with the guy. He picked me up in the middle of winter. It was 30 degrees out. He took me to a park. We went on a walk. It was very cold. It was so cold. And so finally I said, I would like to not do this anymore. And he took me back to his car and he said, well, I just took you on a really long walk. Should I like feed you now or something? And I was like, should you feed me? First of all, yes, always. Second of all, have you been on a date with a human woman in a while, or like just your dog? And then when I tell people I don't want to get set up, they get sneaky about it. Like one time I got in a huge fight with my friend's fiance, and then she called me later. He was wrong, I was right, which is why I wasn't shocked when she said, hey, he feels really bad about what he did to you, so he bought you an extra ticket to come see Star Wars with us tonight. And I thought that is so sweet. And so I went to go see Star Wars with them. And while we were driving, he said, would you mind taking off your Seahawks beanie? And I said, no, why would I do that? And he said, well, not everybody likes the Seahawks. And I said, yeah, that's the whole point of sports. And then when we got to the movie theater, he had set me up on a date with his cousin. It was a trap. It was an actual trap. And his cousin said, ew, Seahawks, that's embarrassing for you. And I was like, your mom's embarrassed of you. And then he said, that was mean. I was just joking. And I was like, so was I. But apparently I hit a sour spot. I used to agree that the stupidest part of Superman was that people didn't recognize him when he wore glasses. They were like, who's this? Not Superman. But then I got on TikTok and I started making you guys videos for my car. And every time I post a video not in my car, everybody in the comment section is like, who's this bitch? Why is she in our feed? We don't know her. And now it makes sense. Now I'm like, oh, people would believe that Superman's a different person just because of one tiny little detail. One of the most memorable talks I ever had with my dad was when we watched Taken for the very first time. And if you don't know the plot of Taken, you should by now, because what happens is Liam Neeson's daughter gets kidnapped and Liam Neeson goes on a murderous rampage and he rescues his daughter. And after the movie ended, the credits were rolling and my dad turned to me and he was like, listen, I can't do any of that. So you be careful, because if you get kidnapped, you're gone. Okay? And you be extra careful because we live next to the ocean. And if they get you on a boat, then you're really gone. And I was just like, one of the reasons I struggle to make friends, I think, is because I've gotten so picky about when I go out. Like somebody invited me to a party this last week on a Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. And I was like, you want to start the party at the witching hour, basically, at 8:30 p.m.? That's crazy. Don't y'all have jobs to get to in the morning? Like, how am I supposed to attend your party at 8:30 p.m. and then also shower, take my melatonin, and be spooning my dog by 9 p.m.? That just doesn't, no. Just no.
Am I the asshole for sending my stepbrother the bill to pay half of my engagement dinner expenses after he turned it into a baby gender reveal? Me and my stepbrother Ethan met when we were very young. He grew up being very competitive towards me and acted like we were in a race. For example, he got married on my mom's death anniversary. Years later, he seemed to be mature and respectful. He wants me to be an aunt for his future kid as he and his wife are expecting. Days ago was my engagement dinner and it was held in a prestigious restaurant that cost me and fiance Morgan money. Ethan and his wife showed up unexpectedly and they congratulated us. Ethan finished his drink and then announced the gender of his baby. He said, "We just found out it's a boy, everyone." Am I the asshole for sending my stepbrother the bill to pay half of my engagement dinner expenses? The family got excited and ordered more drinks and they started playing Guess the Name We Chose. We watched the dinner turn into a gender reveal party and we were ignored the rest of the night. Morgan said that Ethan was acting like a high school attention-seeking B-word and ruined our night. I said we had to do something and he said, "What do you have in mind?" I sent Ethan the bill for half of everything Morgan and I paid for with a brief explanation. He called yesterday going hysteric saying I can't make him pay for anything when I'm the one that invited him. But I never invited him. He said my stepmom said that he was invited and that he didn't intend on hijacking anything and that someone just asked him about his baby and he answered. He said he still had to pay. Am I the asshole for calling my husband delusional for demanding I give him 50% profit of my business? My husband is a bank clerk and I have a WFH job which I barely bear since I'm an active outdoor person and love gardening. I decided to use our backyard to grow flowers and sell them online after arranging them into bouquets. When I told my husband, he said it was the worst idea ever and that it would be a major waste of time and money and that I should get a second job. I still started my business little by little. In a matter of 18 months, it started bringing in decent money and I gained customers. My husband said I was doing a good job of keeping our business flowing. I corrected him and reminded him about his lack of faith. He said he didn't think my little hobby would go anywhere, but now that it has, he wants 50% and won't settle for less. Am I the asshole for calling my husband delusional for demanding I give him 50% profit of my business? He said that he should get 50% because I'm using his soil to grow my flowers. I said this is our house and both of our names are on the title. He said I actually owned this house long before you came along, so it's technically mine. I said if we separated, it would be split in half. He joked about how silly I was for hinting separation just because he was asking for something he deserved. I said no and that he was delusional to ask because even his soil alone doesn't magically grow my flowers. There's a lot of work I put in. I said it didn't matter to him when I started using his soil, why now? He said it always matters when money is involved. He apologized for being rude but says he still wants 50%.
Story time about how I did the you-know-what with my celebrity crushes.
Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm from a really small town in the Midwest. Growing up, I knew I wanted to go to LA and be famous. As soon as I turned 20, I decided to move to LA.
Showed up to LA with $400 in a dream. My dream was to meet all of my celebrity crushes. I happened to be tall and pretty good looking, so I got myself a modeling agency. A few weeks after I got to LA, I booked my first job. I got to model for a runway show. From there, I met a stylist who introduced me to a bunch of people. And from that, I was able to start going to a bunch of industry parties. I met tons of celebrities, influencers, and basically socialites. I even met Kim Kardashian at a party 4 years ago. When I would go to these parties, I would tell people that I was a model. But in order to prove that, I had to have a pretty big following on Instagram. So I took all of my savings that I had and I bought myself 100,000 followers on Instagram. With those 100,000 followers, I was able to get verified. And after that, I started DMing as many celebrities as I could, especially my celebrity crushes. And no, I won't say who they are. After a few weeks, I still didn't have the responses that I wanted, aka from my celebrity crushes, but I started getting some responses from other celebrities. Not as famous or good looking, but still people that could definitely help me get to them. Basically, my life consisted of going to castings, go-sees, and going to photo shoots. I also started doing music videos, and this is when it really got interesting. I started meeting tons of rappers and started getting invited to bigger and bigger parties, like really exclusive parties. The kind where you couldn't take your phone in, and the kind where you had to sign an NDA to make sure that you couldn't say anything about what you saw at the party. My Instagram was also growing really quickly. I went from 100,000 followers to 150,000 within a few months. I even became really good friends with some celebrities that worked on TV shows, like the kind of TV shows that you guys see on Netflix. I felt like I was getting closer and closer to my dream, but still, I never met my celebrity crushes at any of those parties. One morning, I wake up to a few DMs on my Instagram, and it was one of my celebrity crushes. I basically sent him a message just saying, "Hey, I'm in town, I'd love to take you out for a drink." And he replied with a yes. Nothing else, just a yes. I quickly replied and asked him if he wanted to go for a drink that night. He agreed to meeting up at a bar on Sunset Boulevard. I want you guys to understand something though. I was looking for a boyfriend, not just a one night, So I wore my cutest outfit, nothing sexy. I basically looked like a Chanel model from the 1950s. As soon as he saw me, he told me that I was beautiful and we got to talking. Everything was going really, really great. After that, you know what happened. But here's the thing. I messaged him on Instagram the next day and he didn't reply. He didn't even ask me for my phone number. I got really sad, but the next day I opened up my DMs to another celebrity crush. Part 2 is up. 2 of how I did it with my celebrity crushes. So after I had my date with my biggest celebrity crush ever, he never called me back. But the very next day, I wake up to a DM from another celebrity crush. Now, I didn't think this one would respond because he was in a relationship at the time. No, I'm not going to say who it is. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. He was super nice over DM and asked me if I wanted to go have lunch. I said yes, of course. We decided to have lunch on the weekend. Throughout the week, he would message me and ask me how I was, but 2 days before the meeting, he totally ghosted me. I didn't hear back from him at all. So the day before the date, I texted him. He finally replied and told me that he had been working. We decided to have dinner and he started asking me tons of questions, like if I had a boyfriend, and I told him I was totally single. When I asked him if he had a girlfriend, he stayed quiet. He said he didn't want to answer that question. Of course I knew he had a girlfriend because it was all over the tabloids. Like there were tons of paparazzi pictures of them together. But here's the thing. We had a fancy dinner. Then he asked me if I want to go back to his place. Of course I said yes. And when I get there, I see pictures of him with his girlfriend, the one he didn't want to talk about before. I then go to the bathroom, open the cabinets, and it's full of girl stuff. I quickly realized that he took me to his girlfriend's place to you know what. I mean, maybe they had an open relationship, but at the same time, like, why would he take me to his girlfriend's place? But I kept my goal in mind. We finally, you know what? And then afterward, he asked me if I wanted to sleep over. That's when I told him no because I knew that we were in his girlfriend's place. He starts laughing and tells me that she's out of town and that she'll never find out that he took me there. I asked him how many girls he's taken there before, and once again, he said he didn't want to answer the question. He then hit me up every single day for like a month. I didn't know if I should see him again because of the whole girlfriend thing, but then I got another DM